Good afternoon. First off, I'd like to introduce Tamara Hubley-Little, Director of English Education Program and Services, who's joining me in the briefing today. Welcome, Tammy. So this pandemic really has changed our students' world. It's changed all of our world. 2 months ago, students were planning school trips and getting ready for spring sports. Families were looking forward to March break. And senior students were getting excited about their graduation ceremonies and graduation celebrations. And a whole lot has happened since then. Students have been taken away from their friends and school communities. Parents have had to take on a role that we never intended them to. And teachers have had to switch their instruction from the classroom to the home. We are all working outside of our comfort zone, and it's certainly not easy. I want to begin by thanking our teachers, staff, and especially our parents for the extraordinary team effort you are making to keep our children safe and engaged in their learning. Je veux tout d'abord remercier nos enseignants, le personnel et les parents de leur effort de la collaboration extraordinaire. Cela permet à nos enfants de poursuivre leur apprentissage. Today, we want to provide you with more details on what education will look like as we begin to roll out our Renew PEI Together plan. First, I want to talk about at-home learning. So, home-based learning will continue to be the main learning component for the remainder of this school year. And I want to thank our dedicated teachers again, who have overcome many challenges over the past few weeks as they made major changes in their teaching model. We've received a tremendous positive response from parents, although we definitely recognize the challenges that so many face, and parents who now have an even greater appreciation for the challenging role of our teachers. Teachers will continue to connect with their students and support their learning at home based on a compacted curriculum. And learning resources will continue to be updated and made available online and in paper form where needed. To date, we have distributed over 500 print material packages to students who have limited access to internet or a device. Over 300 Chromebooks have been distributed to students who need advice, and by Monday, that number will be over 400. Now, the other initiative that was just rolled out yesterday is Respite Care for students with priority needs. And I just wanted to report there's been over 100 responses already to this program. So our students have very diverse learning needs, and it's important that we support all students as much as we possibly can. So beginning May 11th at the latest, designated schools will reopen to students who now receive individualized support from student services teams. These are students who are supported by educational assistants and youth service workers. By bringing them back into the school, we can reconnect them with their EA or youth service worker and provide them with the structure and individualized support that they need, while providing respite for their parents who have been supporting them at home. All students, that's all students who are supported by EAs and youth service workers are eligible for respite care. However, these services will be provided at designated schools only. And the schools include Surrey Regional, Montague High, Colonel Grey High, Morel High, Westwood Primary, Athena Consolidated, West Isle High, Queen Elizabeth Elementary, and other schools as needed. So parents who are interested in the Respite Care program can contact 902-368-4997. That's 368-4997, or email respite@edu.pe.ca for more information. And please don't hesitate to do that. Another initiative that we're adding as part of Renew PEI is extra support for high school students. So grade 12 students have been our priority over the past few weeks, as we've mentioned several times, and we continue to work with them to ensure they are ready for post-secondary in the fall. Now, over the next few weeks, extra support will be offered to all high school students to ensure they have the required prerequisite courses and are on the right path to apply to university or college. And I think Tammy's going to speak some more about that. The other thing we're going to make available are student-teacher appointments. So we all know that students are missing their teachers and their schools, while the teachers are also missing their students. So beginning June 15th, K-12 teachers, that's kindergarten through grade 12, will meet with their students by appointment to reconnect with them. And this would be small group work as per the CPHO guidelines, review their progress, and provide them with feedback for future learning. So this should really allow our students and our teachers to connect and again enhance both the learning and the social aspect. Now finally, we are going to do some focus on end-of-year activities. And of course, year-end activities have always been very special times for students. For many years, our children have looked forward to year-end concerts, field trips, and graduation ceremonies. So schools, and this is both the Public Service Branch and Commission Scolaire de Langue Française, are working with students to find innovative ways to keep these important traditions alive this year. During the week of June 22nd, schools will offer year-end and graduation activities that enable students to connect with their friends, celebrate their achievements, and bring closure to their school year while keeping each other safe. And it's important to recognize through all this, we are following the Renew PEI plan of the Chief Public Health Office to make sure that we make everyone stay safe. Also, recognizing the importance of transitions, we are planning tours and activities to help elementary and intermediate students transition to intermediate and high school. It is very important to note that all services offered at schools will meet public health guidelines that allow for physical distancing, hygiene protocols, and enhanced cleaning of schools. School bus services will not be available. However, alternative transportation arrangements will be made for families who are unable to transport their child to and from school to take advantage of some of these programs. Student well-being supports will continue to be offered to students by student services teams, and the school food program will continue to support island families. Now next, I wanted to talk a little bit about childcare. As I know, island parents and caregivers have many questions about childcare as they look ahead to possibly returning to the workplace. So we are working on a plan that aligns with the cautious and responsible approach to easing public health measures as outlined in the Renew PEI Together framework. We will be following Chief Public Health Office protocols so that everyone stays safe, children and workers, and any centers that do reopen will reopen in a modified version. Important to that plan is understanding the need for childcare going forward. That's the first step. So with that in mind, we will be sharing more information with parents and caregivers in the coming days through the Renew PEI Together website. And this will include a submission form for parents and caregivers to identify their upcoming need for childcare so that we can use that to refine our plan. We need to know what the needs are for childcare before we can properly plan for the childcare capacity. In closing, I want to share my appreciation and recognize the administrators, staff, and educators who are doing a fantastic job of supporting our children and families during this pandemic. And right now, I wanted to turn this over to Tammy to say a few words.
Thank you, Minister. Good evening, everyone. At-home learning is going well. Although it is challenging for many families, it is keeping many students engaged with their learning. It is allowing students to stay connected with their teachers. And it is encouraging that parents are engaging with learning, which is a significant benefit to our students. During Phase 2, at-home learning resources will remain the key component of student learning, and resources will continue to be updated and distributed for our students. Chromebooks are being distributed to high school students and students with special education needs who can benefit from Chromebooks will receive a device. High school students will be receiving extra support given their need to get their prerequisite courses and stay on track to apply for college and university. Extra supports include expanding the ways that students can connect with their teachers, such as video conferencing, providing more frequent contact, and specific feedback on learning tasks. Grade 12 students in courses with credit arrangements with UPEI and Holland College will also have additional support from their teachers. Respite Care will soon be offered in schools to students who are supported by educational assistants and youth service workers. By bringing these students back into schools, we can support their individualized learning plans and provide needed respite to their parents who have been supporting them at home. During Phase 3 and beginning June 15th, K through 12 teachers will meet with their students by appointment to review their progress and make recommendations for future learning. Schools are organizing activities for elementary and intermediate students to support their transition next year to intermediate and high school levels. Activities include school visits and teacher meetings. Year-end and graduation ceremonies are being planned for the week of June 22nd. The safety and well-being of our students will continue to be our priority as we introduce activities over the next few weeks. The plan for learning in September. I apologize. Minister Trivers?
Well, thank you, Tammy. I want to reiterate to the parents of our more than 20,000 students that we know you are handling many priorities, and it's not always easy to juggle them all. We really want to thank you for doing your best. We would all like to get back to the routines we once had for our children, and I know we will get there if our first priority remains the safety and well-being of our children and all Islanders. Notre priorité absolue doit toujours être la sécurité et le bien-être de nos enfants. Thank you, and now I will open it up to questions.
Nicole Williams, CBC.
Hi there. My questions are for Ms. Hubley-Little. I'm wondering if you can tell me how many students you're able to take for the respite program, and how do you decide who gets in?
So the Student Service Division of the Public Schools branch will be determining that. It will be based on the needs, the applications that come forward. We do have a significant capacity, in fact, to support those students and provide that respite care. The minister had indicated earlier that there were 100 requests received within the last 24 hours, and it would be our intention to respond to all of those, and the Student Services Division will take the lead on that.
And if I can just add a little bit to that, please do not hesitate to send an email to respite@edu.pe.ca or call 902-368-4997 to make that request.
Sorry, just before my next question, can you just be specific about how many students you'll be taking on for this respite program?
Until we know how many students, parents actually apply on behalf of their children, it wouldn't be possible to say at this time.
So there's no general even capacity number you have?
No. If your question is there a limit? We haven't been advised of that, no.
And you'll notice, Nicole, that we have a number of schools that we announced were open. I'm just counting up here. There's 8 of them, right? And we're starting that May 11th, and we're going to continue to bring in the students to serve them as many as we possibly can. And we are going to open up other schools if required. So really, we're here to try and really provide this respite service to as many students as possible. And so that's our goal, and that's what we're going to pursue.
Thank you. And I'm wondering if you can also expand on these small group learning sessions beginning June 15th, and also if you can clarify why you picked that date.
Want me to take that one? So the date coincides with the phase outlined by the Chief Public Health Office. So that would be the Monday. And so we are in a position then to have groups of students come into school. So that was why the date was identified.
And again, I'll add into that. You may notice that a lot of the dates we're giving are Mondays to align with the school calendar, even though some of the dates in the Renew PEI plan are not Mondays. But that's why we're using those dates. It's very much in line with the Renew PEI plan, but Monday is the day in a week when students do their learning, start their learning that week. Typically.
Right. I'm just wondering, could you just be specific about how those will work and what they'll look like?
So it will depend on of course, the grade and the level of the student. So younger students, their opportunity to meet with their teacher and perhaps in small groups to engage in activities that would be appropriate for their developmental level. Nicole, it's going to look very different depending on the age of the student and the grade level. Some of the things that they haven't currently been able to do, like be able to engage in the specialist activities with phys ed, art, music, would certainly be something we would look to have our students experiencing at those times. Having said that, we don't want to lose sight of the fact that this may be the first time that children are coming back and students are coming back and being with each other. And so to say that there would be a specific education focus may be trumped by the fact that students will just be excited to reconnect with their teacher and see their peers.
And
Thank you so much.
And I do want to just add on to that as well that the public schools branch and Commission Scolaire Langue Française are already doing a lot of work to reach out and connect with students virtually. And that's been going on ever since home learning started, really. And just given the CPHO Renew PEI plan, starting June 15th, this is when it opens up new opportunities for more face-to-face, of course, keeping the physical distancing, and possibly small group work. But there's a lot of work that's already ongoing, and there's already these meetings going on between teachers and students. This just allows us to have that more of an in-person presence.
Sam Merrick, CBC.
Good afternoon to you both. My first question is for Minister Trivers. You've asked parents to identify themselves if they should need childcare. I'm wondering if you could expand on that. What do you mean by that?
Right. Well, thank you for the question. And so what we're doing when it comes to childcare is we have to make sure that we provide the capacity so that as parents go back to work, their children have childcare available. They have places for the children to go. So we're just simply asking parents and caregivers, when are you thinking of you might be going back to work based on Renew PEI, and what childcare would you need? Where are you located? How old are the kids? Those sorts of things. So we want to collect that information, and that can really inform the decisions that we need to make when it comes to providing childcare.
Perfect, thank you. And I'll open up my second question to the both of you. When you talk about year-end grad ceremonies, what are you imagining those will look like?
Yeah, so we've been looking at other jurisdictions and even internationally to see what other activities and ceremonies are being planned. And I do have a meeting scheduled with the high school principals tomorrow afternoon, and this is one of the topics that we will be discussing. But there are some certainly innovative ways that other jurisdictions are providing the opportunity for students to actually participate in a graduation. Some of that might be in person and some of that might be virtually. But having said that, we will be hashing out some of those details, like I said, starting tomorrow. Now that we know that the buildings won't be open, and children will have restrictions on the number of students that can congregate in any one area. So we'll look forward to providing more details of those very soon.
And
Thank you.
maybe if I can just add one more piece onto that. I know talking with the public schools branch, for example, in Parker Grimmer, they really want to take a look at engaging students and saying, how would you like to see this unfold? And I think that's so important. This is really this is the students' graduating year, and we want to know how they want to see their graduation unfold in this environment. So we're going to consult with them first.
Thank you. And with regards to the one-on-one sessions that are beginning June 15th, how long will those run? Like, will they go into the summer?
So just to clarify, teachers are actually engaging with students one-on-one now and have been for a period of time. So the difference here would be that we are opening up video conferencing to a certain degree, and so that will be another way for teachers to engage. But what we reference there is the opportunity for teachers to meet one-on-one with students. So it's something that we are doing that coincides, like I said, with CPHO. And teachers and students will agree to a mutual time that works for them. And they will be discussing things like how your learning has gone, what things have you been learning, what things have you been struggling with, because really this is an opportunity for us to be able to plan and develop really solid plans for their transition into their next grade in September.
Okay, so will they be going into the summer months, though?
I can take that if you like.
Go ahead.
Session?
Yep.
Yes, so, pardon me, what we're looking at really is keeping the existing school calendar in place in terms of school year end. And that has to do with contractual obligations to teachers and other staff. And, so that right now, that is indeed the line in the sand. It's the end of the school year based on the existing school calendar. And Tam, you can add to that if you want, but that's where we're headed.
Yeah, we will be continuing to provide our summer learning program to high school students. And for any student that would like to register, that information will be coming out within the next 6 weeks. And that will be an opportunity for students, particularly at the high school level, during the summer. It's not new because of the pandemic, but it is something that's available to students.
Laurent Lavoie.
And I don't know if I can add to that the PEI Literacy Alliance, in fact, is planning to continue, and they partner, of course, with us in education, and they're planning to offer their program virtually this summer as well to those students. But that of course, is outside of the K-12 system.
Laurent Lavoie.
Yes, good afternoon. I have a question for you, Minister Trivers. I didn't catch properly the list of schools that will reopen on May 11th for children with specific needs. Is there any school from the Commission scolaire de langue française in the list?
Let me double check here. In this list that I gave today, I did not list one from the CSLF, but as I mentioned, other schools as required. And I would say if that was an oversight, then we will fix that and make sure there is one from the Commission scolaire de langue française.
And I'm wondering how many children are you will need this reopening, and how the transportation will be organized throughout the island.
Yes, so we're working, of course, very closely with both education authorities on this one. Our plan is we're not bringing back school buses. What we're asking is for parents to provide transportation, and if they can't, then what we're doing is we're going to provide alternate means. That might be using taxis, for example, or for some children with special needs, maybe it's Pat and the Elephant and other services like that.
Okay, thank you.
Julie, The Guardian.
Hi, good afternoon to you both. I suppose question for Minister Trivers. I mean, earlier in the pandemic, Premier King had sort of promised graduating high schools they would have a prom and a graduation ceremony. Given that it seems unlikely that large gatherings are going to happen before the end of summer, is that still planned? Is that still something that people should realistically expect?
Yes, well, that's a great question. And as I mentioned earlier, the education authorities are planning to engage the students, and we want to see that happen. It's probably not going to happen in the same way that it has in the past, but we're going to do it in a way that brings closure to the school year, allows the graduates to have that experience, and really it lets them say, we are the class of 2020, and we had our prom, and we were able to celebrate the way we intended to. And as I said, we're looking for input from students on that, and the education authorities will be reaching out to students to start with that planning.
Okay. And I wonder if you could provide a bit of an update on, I guess, the school lunch program. Like, just to give an idea, in the last month, roughly how many meals were being provided on a daily basis, and what kind of cost has been involved so far.
Okay. So what we're talking about, over 4,000 meals per week now is what's going out, and in terms of the cost, I don't have that in front of me, but I know they're doing a great job in sourcing locally for the food, and preparing very delicious food as well with professional chefs that are making them, and including snacks. But I would say if you're going to use a cost, it would probably be in that neighborhood of $3 to $5 a meal, as we had targeted for our school food program, because we're building on that pilot that we had started before the pandemic.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, well, thank you very much, and have a great evening.